All right, let's just dive straight into this explainer. We're going to explore how doing less and honestly saying less actually yields the most power in today's insanely noisy world. We're digging into a seriously fascinating source today. It's an analysis of Machiavellian philosophy, but applied to how we behave right now in the modern world. We're going to break down the whole concept of nonchalance, and I promise you, it's probably not what you think it is.
Just think about the world we live in for a second. It's a society completely obsessed with noise, impulse, and instant reaction, right? Every single opinion is shouted, every passing emotion is broadcast online, every move is captured. There's this immense pressure to constantly assert yourself. But here's the question we really need to ask ourselves. In a loud, reactive world, who actually holds the real power? It's the quietest person in the room.
Section 1. The paradox of power. Doing less is more.
So, in an environment where literally everyone is trying to be heard, the person who doesn't chase validation is the one others fear the most. We usually associate this kind of nonchalance with, apathy, pure laziness, maybe just arrogance. But the reality? Vastly different. True Machiavellian nonchalance is about absolute control. It's unshakable composure. It is, quite literally, dominance beautifully disguised as disinterest.
Let's lock in on this definition. Nonchalance is not an absence of emotion, but the absolute mastery of it. Let me just repeat that, the absolute mastery of it. This isn't about being numb. A person who feels nothing is just weak. No, this is about caring selectively and concealing your intent. It's about feeling deeply, but filtering that emotion with such rigorous discipline that your outward expression remains completely unreadable to the masses.
And this brilliantly illustrates where this whole concept originates. Appearances are weapons. Niccolo Machiavelli taught that a leader, or a prince, must learn to seem completely composed even when absolute chaos surrounds them. Why? Well, because the exact moment others see your desperation, the moment they see urgency or panic in your eyes, they can manipulate you. But when they see nothing, they are left entirely disarmed.
Section 2. Apathy versus true control. The magnetic gravity. Maintaining this unreadable facade isn't just some defensive shield. It actively creates magnetic gravity. Think about the crazy psychological tension this builds. The people around you begin to ask, why doesn't he react? Why doesn't he chase? Why doesn't he care? The world entirely avoids the predictable, but it desperately clings to mystery. By refusing to show your hand, you become the big question that just lingers in everyone's mind.
Their confusion becomes your advantage. The moment you stop the knee-jerk reaction, the moment you stop pleading for attention, you draw others in. You actually use their own curiosity to control the space. People absolutely obsess over what ignores them, and they submit to what doesn't beg.
Section 3. Silence as psychological warfare.
Now, this is where nonchalance stops being just a neat trait and becomes a highly effective tool to disarm opponents. When you deliberately withhold an emotional response, others panic in the quiet. They instinctively scramble to fill the void because they just can't stand not knowing what you're thinking. And in that frantic scramble, they confess way too much. They reveal their hidden cards, you say absolutely nothing, and they just hand over the entire game.
Understanding how to operate daily comes down to this massive difference. Reaction? Reaction is cheap. It's instinctual, it's fast, highly impulsive, and frankly, it leaves you incredibly vulnerable. But a true response? That is rare. It's strategic, highly disciplined, calculated, and totally unshaken. The nonchalant individual lives entirely in the realm of response. They never react. They only ever respond.
Section 4. Rising above the noise. Training the mind.
Now, this level of calm is definitely not innate. We all naturally crave approval, so this type of power actually has to be intentionally trained. Machiavelli stated clearly, a ruler must know how to hide his intentions. In a world full of oversharers, the illusion of not needing anything actually makes people obsess over you. You don't trade your strength for sympathy, and you never beg to be known. You just let others project, assume, and wonder.
So, how do we actually do this? Well, here are the mechanics of composure. 1. Pause. 2. Delay. 3. Observe. It's a very deliberate 1-2-3 rhythm. You have to teach yourself how to build real distance between your internal emotions and your external expressions. You don't confuse urgency with action. You move only when it actually matters, and because of that, when you finally do move, everyone notices.
Section 5.
the discipline of restraint.
Achieving this level of nonchalance requires extreme internal discipline. There is a very real cost to this poise. You have to learn to sit with being completely misunderstood. You have to hold your expression steady when someone totally misjudges you. You must routinely delay gratification and, incredibly, keep your plans entirely secret, even when your ego is just screaming for applause. True Machiavellian winning is about outlasting and outmaneuvering your environment, and that demands the ultimate self-respect of discipline. I want to pause on this metaphor from the text for a second because it's exceptionally powerful. Nonchalance is patience with teeth. It's a focused detachment, this quiet refusal to be provoked, baited, or dragged into the mud. It isn't passivity. It's not weakness. It is actually the boldest, most aggressive action a person can take to secure their own emotional sovereignty.
And this brings us to a phenomenal final mic drop from the source. Be nonchalant, not to appear powerful, but because you already are. This quiet power isn't a costume you put on for approval. It is the natural, inevitable byproduct of true self-mastery. When you are genuinely rooted in self-control, the world simply cannot shake you.
So I want to leave you with this provocative final thought to take away from our explainer today. Tomorrow, when the world inevitably tries to trigger you with its endless noise, chaos, and frantic demands for your attention, will you flinch, or will you hold your center, observe, and let your silence speak for you? The choice and the power is entirely yours.